There we go. Good morning. I'm going to give you a little tour of my garden. This is the butterfly bush and my garbage can. And this is the garden that we planted in May 18th, I think, was the day we started around that time. And this is just 6 weeks later. And I'm going to start on the outside. This is the garden door that I put together myself, so don't judge. We have lots of little flowers that I planted after Mother's Day, and some bulbs that I had in the garage that came up. I can't believe it. This is a garden that's called a permaculture garden, at least a permaculture in French. And it's a garden that I started without turning the earth. I simply put down loads and loads and loads of cardboard over this whole 10 by 8 meter patch, and then covered it with compost and grass clippings and garden branches and dead leaves and whatever I had. And then eventually I did put down dirt in the garden boxes to plant the seeds in, and or my plants that I started in the house earlier in April. And just in the living room, by the way, by the window, no greenhouse or anything. And the conditions are so good when you don't have any roots or rocks to compete with. This is one of the pumpkin plants. This is one pumpkin plant, by the way, that I have already cut back. And I think that there's at least one guy in here. Where are you? You're hiding from me. There he is. That's a little guy. He should be ready for Halloween. And I've decided to push them through. The plant is actually on the other side of planted. It came up by itself from the compost. I threw away a pumpkin last year, and the seeds came up all over the garden. So be careful with your compost. I think when you put in a whole pumpkin, you won't even see it happen. But I've had to pull most of them out because I just couldn't. I didn't have room for them. I have some lavender, and I have my wheelbarrow, and I have my grass clippings cutting pile over here that I use to put around the base of plants so that they don't get sickness from when the rains and the mud comes back up. And this was a ground cover, this white thing that got eaten up by our lawnmower. Now I have to deal with that. And so as you can see, there's still grass and things that grow sort of wherever there wasn't cardboard. Nature is really strong. So if you're going to try this at home, I would suggest that you really cover every single centimeter, even where boxes overlap. And if you have a friend that's moving, but I even put down cardboard, anything that we could recycle from packaging from the groceries. And but there were always little spots that I hadn't quite covered, and I regret it because those weeds are really strong. So we're going to come into my garden and listen to this. Oh wait, it's not making a sound. Why isn't it making a sound? Oh my gosh, for once it's not squeaking. It's funny. And we'll start with my tomatoes. These are just regular round tomatoes, and I've planted them just in a row. There are 12 of them, I think. And I've done each of them not always the same. I had these pieces of wood that I bought and that I put a nail into the top of, although I aligned them poorly. So when I put up the metal wire fencing, I read that this makes a great kind of tomato cage. So I've been weaving my tomatoes in and out of it. And at the base of the tomatoes, I don't know if you can see that, actually now the rain, we've had some really heavy rain, so it's washed away the grass clippings, but I mulched with grass clippings. And these tomatoes are simply buried in a pile of dirt. I made a little mountain for each tomato plant. The tomato plants I didn't grow from seed because I had no luck. Mine did not work out, so I did buy these plants from the grocery store, actually, when it was planting time. And then I ran out of these pieces of wood, so I had to stake my tomatoes with the more usual, these are called tutors, that are, that kind of turn around in the plant, and you twist the plant around them as it comes up. But the fruits are coming, and I'm very happy. They should be maybe in July, mid-July, some color on them. My lovely little flowers there. And so this is just the 12 regular tomato plants. And we turn the corner, and this aisle goes down there, and these are my 12 cherry tomato plants. And we've got loads and loads and loads of fruit coming, and I'm very happy about that. There's some that are so many that I don't even know if they're going to stay up. These I staked with anything I had in the house, bamboo sticks. They have a friend with a bamboo tree, pieces of wood, an extra stake that I had from my fence, and basically anything I could. And it was the same principle here. Here, on the other hand, I had started to make what's called a weave and wattle, or wattle and weave. I think it's a British kind of, it's the ancient kind of way of making fencing, where you stake in, where's my hand? There it is. These bamboo pieces, and then you weave bamboo in and out of them. And I just didn't have enough bamboo to finish. So in the end, I did the same thing where I made a little mound of earth. I planted my tomato, and it's worked its way down through the cardboard, through the compost, and everybody's very happy. And there's just loads of beautiful, I mean, they're really long actually. And after my cherry tomatoes, we move on to the 6 eggplants that I have. And here it comes. Look at that. Isn't that so cute? Oh my God, I love it. So pretty. And these were kind of slow to come up, and I had a lot of problems with slugs and snails. And I had to treat them. And now I think I have a hedgehog who comes in to eat them and to drink from the hoses when they're on. So I haven't seen any snails around. This is a potato plant that also grew in my compost. So once again, watch out what you throw in your compost. And another one that grew out from the side that I can't do anything about. But this, in general, you fill this up with dirt, but I'm kind of out of dirt. So I'm just taking it easy with that one. So I turn around, that's the tomatoes on the left. And my aisle continues down on this side. And in the middle, I have another aisle there. And these are all my peas. And they're absolutely gorgeous. I mean, they're just so... Some of my plants I didn't make it. I had some kids come in and pick some peas, and they actually pulled the plants out by their root. But these two, I've just, I have one stick here and one stake at the end. And then I kind of made these teepees of bamboo poles, and I just tied my strings, not even tied them really, just wrapped them around once on each side, and they're doing pretty well. Now they're getting heavy, so they're not climbing as much, but they are ready to pick. And we've been eating peas. This thing just snaps down like a zipper. And then you see your beautiful peas inside. Can you see that? It's just gorgeous. And then you eat it. And it's delicious. And here, another rogue pumpkin has grown, and I've had to pull out 4 in this area, but I'm letting it run down in between the peas. And another pumpkin. God, I don't know what I'm going to do with all these pumpkins. Another pumpkin plant among the peppers. Here's my pepper. And I've got about 1 on each of my 6 plants. So there's another little one coming up in here. So cute. Good morning. And my lovely bees and bugs that are busy pollinating my plants. I think there's a pumpkin under here. Oh, here comes a little one. There it is. So cute. And I have a bigger one over here. Now this is the back to the entrance. Here's a lovely one. I can barely walk in here, but here are my peas again on this side. And another pumpkin. Oh no, that's the same one. Now these are beautiful. These are my potimarron, which are growing really beautifully and very heavy. And I think I'm going to need to put a hammock on them. And I have about 50. I don't know what I'm going to do with all of these. But they have not, well, I've trained them to crawl up the gate here. I've put a piece of wire fencing. And this is my kids' old climbing tower. And they have climbed right over the top and made their little nests in the corners. And I have about, I don't know, 4 or 5. Some are a little bit rotten. I'm going to take those off. It's a lovely thing to see, though. Underneath this climbing tower, I've planted some lettuces that a neighbor gave me. And they like the shade. Also just in a little, actually they're just on cardboard and grass clippings. And I've just given each of them a tiny little pile of dirt. And they're very happy. I barely even water them. Right in front of my tower, on this side, I have my, what do you call those? Courgette or zucchini. Which yesterday I cut a bunch of. So I don't think I have any that they're coming. They're like this right now. So these are the females that have the fruit, and these are the males that are just the flower, that you need both in order to pollinate them. And apparently people eat the flowers, but I'm not a huge fan of that. And plus, you need to be careful not to take off the flowers. And this is my cucumbers, my wall of cucumbers, which yesterday I found 2 ginormous, I don't even know when they grew. But for now, most of them are kind of this size right now. Can you see that? They're very small. But I have one that I can show you that seems to be, here, this one is coming along. And he's getting shinier rather than prickly. And yesterday I just had two that were so delicious that I had to eat them for breakfast. And here's more zucchini or courgette on this side, same thing. You can also climb up and have fun on the tower if you are done picking your vegetables. Here's one. Oh, so pretty. I think I'm going to cut this one because I don't personally like them when they get, there's another one back there. I don't like them when they get too huge and kind of bitter. So we looked at tomatoes, courgette, potimarron, little pumpkins, the peas. Here's my wall of onions that are doing okay. And then my neighbor also gave me 6 more tomato plants, and they were so tiny, I didn't know what to do with them, and I just stuck them here, and they're doing great. A flower to keep the bugs away. And behind my little new tomato plants, I have all snap peas. Those are I think they're sugar snap peas. They're the flat ones that you use in Chinese food. A few lettuces hiding in between the shade of the tomatoes. More onions. And here I have something that grew that I don't remember planting, but I know it is a cucurbitacea. It's like one of I think it's a butternut that I might have planted randomly, and it's going to grow for the fall. And then I have beetroot. Aren't they gorgeous? Look at that. Oh, I love them. Look at this. This makes me think of Peter Rabbit because he was always eating beetroot plants, and the leaves really look just like they do in the storybook pictures. Here's some. You see this one? There, it's coming up. Come on, I see it actually. There it is. And that's it. Beets. And in between the beets on this side, I've replanted onions so that I'll have a second planting. And there's a little lettuce that kind of popped up there. And a mushroom, which should not be here. What are you doing here? A lot of rain. And some weeds. And also I have radishes growing somewhere in here. And then when I turn around, my box in the middle is my what are these? Broccoli, which I haven't seen anything yet. It's a little early for the broccoli anyway. It'll probably come up in the fall, but they're big, and I don't know what I'm doing because apparently I should have left a lot more room, so I don't know if they're going to work out. And this is my gigantic pole bean conglomeration mass city center where I did have teepees under there, but you can barely see them anymore. And I've had to even add these like posts here to go from one to the other because they were just like streaming in the air by, 3 meters tall. So, and they're just starting now to flower. And I saw my first little beans coming up. Here they are. So I think it's going to be a nice, very healthy summer of eating. I think that's it. I've showed you everything. So, and then the gravel I put down, and I have to say this was a lot of work, and I really wanted gravel. And I moved single-handedly 1 ton and 800 kilos or whatever it is, 1 ton 8 of gravel with a wheelbarrow to put it down here. So I have to say I love my gravel. And I'll show you now. I'll finish with my prized possession is my big pumpkin, which is just doing so well and just so pretty and very hard. And I think that it's going to be my jack-o'-lantern for the fall. All right, well, it was nice spending a little time in the morning with you here in the Centre region of France, in the Perche. And I'll give you an update when the fruit and the vegetables really start coming in. Bye-bye.